Have you ever, posted something online, like maybe a photo or an article that you just thought was incredibly profound?
No, absolutely. We all have.
Right. And you sit back and you're just waiting for the validation of your friends, only to hear absolute crickets.
It's the worst feeling.
It really stings. I mean, people are seeing it. They are physically holding their phones, staring right at your words. But that little notification bell just stays completely silent.
Yeah, the digital void.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, well, how far would you go to call out the lurkers in your feed? Like, would you post a passive-aggressive meme? Would you delete the app in a fit of frustration?
Most people just complain to a friend and move on.
Right. But today, we are taking a deep dive into a single, just intensely fascinating text that takes the exact frustration to a level that is, quite frankly, truly difficult to comprehend.
It really is a remarkable document. It was written on February 19th, 2020 by an author named Shuafeng.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I am just amazed at the sheer escalation here.
Oh, the escalation is wild. What begins as this highly relatable, almost mundane rant about social media engagement metrics, well, it rapidly escalates into a literal cosmic ultimatum for his followers.
It's just so bizarre.
It operates as this gripping case study of what happens when modern digital etiquette just collides head-on with grandiose spiritual mythology.
Before we get into the wilder claims of this text, though, we do need to set some ground rules for this deep dive.
Good idea.
Because Zefeng makes some incredibly intense religious claims here, including stating explicitly that he is the literal incarnation of Jesus.
Yeah, he doesn't hold back.
He really doesn't.
Yeah.
So to be absolutely clear with you, the listener, we are strictly and impartially exploring the ideas exactly as they're presented in the text. We are absolutely not taking a side or endorsing these theological views.
Right, we're treating this purely as a fascinating piece of digital culture and literature.
Exactly. We just want to map out the wild architecture of his argument, to see how he synthesizes social media anxiety with divine authority.
That is the perfect way to frame it. We're looking at the mechanics of his argument. I mean,
Right.
What does this text tell us about human connection in the digital age?
Because it's a very raw look into the psychology of digital validation.
Very raw. So before we look at the cosmic threats, we have to start at the genesis of his frustration.
The raw engagement metric.
Right. Before he unleashes any threats, Shuofeng lays out his analytics. He states that he has more than 200 contacts on his WeChat account.
200. Okay.
But every time he forwards or posts an article, only 30 people regularly hit the like button.
Wow.
The other 170 people just never interact. They are the ultimate lurkers.
I mean, honestly, for anyone working in social media marketing, a 15% engagement rate is actually phenomenal.
Brands spend millions of dollars trying to hit that baseline.
Right. But for Shuofeng, social media isn't just a broadcasting platform, it is a ledger of personal relationships.
Yes.
He doesn't see those 170 silent followers as a passive audience. He sees them as a deeply baffling moral problem that requires a solution.
He actually starts bargaining with them.
Yeah.
And you can just feel this desperate need for validation in the text.
Oh, completely.
He says, why not give me a like from time to time? Even if you just give me a like once a week or once after 10 of my articles.
He's practically begging.
He literally writes, at least I can know that you're still alive through the likes.
Wow. Just a digital proof of life.
Exactly. And to coax them out of hiding, he offers these surreal reassurances. I'm quoting directly here. He says, "Is it so difficult to give a like? Giving a like won't make you pregnant or turn you into a pig."
Turn you into a pig, that is so specific.
It is. But that phrasing is so revealing. He's highlighting the physical reality of the digital barrier.
Right.
He's pointing out how physically effortless the act of double tapping a screen actually is. It carries absolutely zero physical risk. You're completely safe in your home behind your screen.
And yet people still fiercely withhold that tiny tap.
Exactly. This forces him to try and understand the psychology of the lurker. The text argues that keeping someone as a contact without interacting is just a completely baffling middle ground.
It really is. It's like, imagine inviting 200 people into your living room, standing up to share a story you really care about, and having 30 people nod and smile, while the other 170 of them just stare at you in dead, unblinking silence.
That would be terrifying.
Right. They refuse to leave your house, but they absolutely refuse to clap.
That is a great analogy.
But I have to ask, isn't this just a modern digital ego trap? Why does a silent connection equate to hostility in the author's mind?
Well, he points out that if you are in contact with him, you haven't deleted him, you're actively choosing to keep the connection open. But then he uses this fascinating word. He says that the very existence of the connection proves it is predestined.
Predestined, like cosmically.
Yes. When he says predestined, he's tapping into an underlying worldview where coincidences simply do not exist. This is likely pulling from the Eastern concept of karmic affinity, or Yuanfen. In his mind, the algorithm didn't just casually suggest you as a friend on a Tuesday afternoon.
The universe engineered it.
Exactly. The universe engineered this digital collision. So if the connection is cosmically engineered and you're willingly maintaining it on your friend list, why on earth would you withhold the minuscule effort of a single digital like?
Okay, I see. We understand he's annoyed by his lurkers, but how does he justify this massive escalation? He doesn't just complain, right? He goes straight to biblical scripture to elevate his grievance.
He has to. When human beings experience social rejection, the brain experiences intense cognitive dissonance. The ego has to resolve that pain.
And getting zero engagement on a post triggers those exact same pain pathways.
Right. So instead of concluding that his articles might just be, uninteresting, Shuofeng resolves the pain by building a mythology where his rejectors are the ones who are fundamentally broken.
And he quotes the Gospel of Matthew to do it, specifically chapter 11, verses 16 and 17. The verses describe a generation of people as children sitting in a marketplace calling out to others. They say, we made music for you and you did not take part in the dance. We gave cries of sorrow and you made no signs of grief.
It's a classic scripture about spiritual stubbornness, a generation refusing to respond to divine messengers.
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting, because he drops this massive revelation right in the middle of the social media rant.
He really does.
He states, point blank, I am the incarnation of Jesus.
Boom. The scope of the document instantly shifts.
It's like a friend getting mad you didn't like their vacation photos and then quoting scripture to prove you are rejecting divine revelation.
That's exactly it. We are no longer talking about WeChat analytics. We are talking about the salvation of the human soul.
It completely reframes everything. He takes that ancient Bible verse about the flute and the dancing, and he actually custom translates it specifically for his WeChat followers.
Yeah, he writes, how should I describe you? I sang for you. You didn't clap your hands. I offered you a spiritual feast, and you didn't make any response.
He's literally equating his forwarded articles on WeChat to a divine spiritual feast.
What's fascinating here is how the author synthesizes ancient scripture with modern app mechanics.
Right.
By claiming to be the incarnation of Jesus, the lack of a like is no longer just a social faux pas. It is framed as a literal rejection of a spiritual feast.
So the mundane act of tapping a screen is elevated to a test of spiritual receptiveness.
Precisely. Think about religious traditions. They've always required a physical mechanism for demonstrating faith.
Right? Taking communion or lighting a candle.
Exactly. Physical actions that represent an internal spiritual posture. Shuofeng has essentially designated the WeChat like button as the modern equivalent of those ancient rituals.
So the digital UI is just a mechanism for demonstrating your faith.
By not clicking like, these 170 followers aren't just hurting his feelings, they are failing a divine test.
So, if ignoring these posts is a divine insult, what exactly is wrong with these 170 non-likers? And what happens to them? This brings us to his ultimatums.
He is incredibly thorough here. He actually breaks down the exact psychological and spiritual defects of the people who won't like his posts.
He offers 4 specific diagnoses, right?
Yes. He asks them directly, do you know why you are not willing to give me a like? And then he categorizes them. First, he says they are stingy.
Stingy. Okay.
Second, they lack spiritual and soul wealth. Third, they are simply indifferent. Or fourth, they are literally dead.
Literally dead.
Yeah, which he concedes is the only acceptable excuse for not engaging with his content.
Well, I mean, that's generous of him. If you're dead, you get a pass.
Yeah.
But for everyone else, you are spiritually bankrupt.
Exactly.
But wait, so what does this all mean? Because there is a glaring contradiction in his logic right here.
Huge contradiction.
Right after he diagnoses these lurkers with the severe lack of soul wealth, he suddenly lowers the bar for what a like actually means.
He really backpedals.
Yeah, he clarifies that giving a like doesn't even mean you have to agree with the article. You don't have to debate it. He says it is simply a casual expression of, quote, I care about you.
You've hit on the brilliant manipulative tension at the core of this document. He explicitly removes the intellectual burden of agreement.
Right.
He makes the required action so incredibly small. Just tap the button to say, I care.
But wait, if it's so casual, why does withholding it warrant being cursed to reincarnate as a shrub later on? Isn't he demanding a casual gesture by holding ultimate doom over his friends' heads?
Yes, because that triviality is a trap. If you fail the smallest possible test, you reveal the total corruption of your character.
Oh, wow. I see.
His logic is that a beautiful future requires giving. If you are so fundamentally stingy that you cannot even lift a single physical finger to give a friend a meaningless digital like, you have fallen to an unimaginable depth of degradation.
By refusing to lift a finger, you fall far from grace.
Exactly. Which leads us to the consequence. He tells his followers, when you encounter trouble one day, no one will help you.
That's already pretty bleak.
But then comes the ultimate threat. He says that when you reincarnate into the plant or animal world, unable to speak, you shouldn't blame the greatest creator for being unfair. It will be entirely because you didn't click like on his posts.
It is just staggering.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to point out the brilliant dark irony of the author's specific punishment here.
Yeah, the poetic justice is wild.
For the crime of being voluntarily silent online, refusing to speak up with the cosmic punishment is literal, eternal silence as a mute plant or animal.
They hoarded their digital voice, so the universe will permanently strip them of their voice.
It's a perfect reflection of his grievance. It highlights this deep, universal anxiety we all share about being seen and acknowledged by our peers.
To briefly recap this incredible journey, we went from a guy frustrated by a 15% WeChat engagement rate to the threat of reincarnating as houseplant.
All guided by an author claiming to be the incarnation of Jesus.
It's just a masterpiece of escalation. So next time you, the listener, are casually scrolling through your feed and you decide to just skip the like button on a friend's post, you might want to remember the cosmic stakes Shufeng has laid out here.
Think carefully before you scroll past.
Right. Are you just scrolling, or are you risking your spiritual future? It leaves us with a much broader philosophical question to explore. If we increasingly view digital engagement as the ultimate proof of our existence and our friendship, are we inadvertently creating a culture where silence is no longer viewed as neutral, but actually perceived as an aggressive, hostile act?